on that particular recording. It's time now is 11 minutes past 9, and it's time that we cracked into another game.
All about games. It's Games Junkie Gerard Campbell from stuff.co.nz.
Let's play tonight.
Report unusual behavior. Barricade your homes. Avoid all contact with infected individuals. Wait for official instructions. Wait my ass.
Kill all sons of bitches. That's my official instructions.
The game we're looking at today is a new one in the series of Left 4 Dead. It's Left 4 Dead 2. Gerard Campbell giving us his thoughts on this brand new game this morning. Morning, Gerard.
Good morning, Wammo.
Now, just first up, because just off here, you were telling me that you've been playing these new games on a new TV set.
Oh, it's lovely. It's a well out of my budget, but it's one of the new LED TVs, as opposed to the LCD, and it's a Samsung 46-inch, and I tell you what, it's postcard thin, and it's just 46 inches of loveliness, really. And I think that this is the next direction where TVs are going. They're going into LED, so it's more energy efficient, but everything just looks so bright and brilliant, and it actually makes my poor little 40-inch Sony look pathetically small, really.
Isn't that sad when that happens? You think, well, I've got this big 40-inch, this is the ultimate, and no, there's always something else out there. So this actually looks even better than an LCD.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about the LED technology, but it just, everything just looks more vibrant, and and I guess the true test of a TV is it does black, and it seems to do black extremely well. It's very, very deep and vibrant, and it's probably because it's a brand new TV, so it's the latest of the greatest. But
it's a flash thing.
Yeah, it's a flash thing. It's a flash big thing. It certainly needed two people to set it up. That was for sure.
Excellent. Well, so you've been checking out Left 4 Dead 2 on this TV?
No, I haven't, unfortunately. I've only got my PlayStation hooked up to this one, so I've been looking at Left 4 Dead 2 on the trusty old Sony. But Left 4 Dead's pretty cool, and it's actually quite fortuitous because this week I watched again Shaun of the Dead, which is one of my favourite all-time undead zombie type movies.
Yeah.
So it's been a bit of a zombie week, and I guess Left 4 Dead 2 is sort of that same sort of vein of Shaun of the Dead. It's a second game, obviously, with the two in a series, but what it is, and this one's set in the Deep South now, and what it is that you play one of four survivors. I think it showed on the trailer, there's the big guy, the coach, and there's another guy called Alice, and there's a mechanic called Nick, I think, or a guy called Nick, and there's a girl called Rochelle. And basically what you have to do is that you start off at one location, and you've got to get yourself to a safe point where a rescue helicopter will pick you up. And along the way, I guess each location that you go to is broken up into segments, and there's a safe house at the end of that segment, so that's where you can reload your ammunition and you can pick up health packs. And then you work your way next through, and then when you get to the last location, you have to set off a clock or a locator beacon.
Yeah.
And then that's when a rescue helicopter will come through, and of course that's the stage when you get hordes and hordes of these infected undead come down on you, and it's pretty much a test of survival, and it's when I played the first Left 4 Dead, I'm a bit of a sook when it comes to scary bump in the night sort of things.
Yeah.
So I played this one a lot during the day with the curtains open and all that sort of thing. And this one didn't seem to have the same scary impact. So maybe it's I've got used to that, but it's okay fun as a single player. But I think it's one of these games that's really going to work extremely well if you've got three of your mates. Whether that's online or I think you can do it local. And each of you can control one of the survivors. So I think you're going to have a lot more fun. You can do the smack talk and you do this bits and pieces. I think it's going to be a really good online multiplayer game rather than a dedicated single player outing.
Does it obey the zombie rules? Like the zombies can't run or shouldn't be able to run, and there are certain things that zombies can and can't do.
Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, I think these ones are actually, is there a difference between a zombie and an undead? I don't know, because these guys can certainly run. They can certainly run. But see, there are different types of this. I think they call it in the game, they call it infected. I think it's a virus that's spread or something. But so there are different types of infected. You've got your standard shambling, arms out in front type infected. But then you've got
you do that
you've
well.
got ones like thanks very much. Yeah, well, a lot of practice. You've got other infected called like there's one called a smoker, which often hides maybe on a building, and he's got a really long tongue, so he can snake out his tongue and grab you. And then there's a charger who basically will a huge big bulking thing, and he'll target one of you and he'll just charge you basically. And then there are things like something called a jockey, which can jump on your head and controls all your movements and tries to run you into obstacles. And then there's one called a witch, and you can hear with the witch, you can hear this really loud sobbing and moaning, and the witch is usually hiding in a dark location, and if you actually disturb her or bump into her or shine your flashlight on her, she'll go berserk and basically, you're finished, you're toast basically. So yeah, there are a whole different variety of these undead. And another really impressive thing about, I think, Left 4 Dead 2 and the Left 4 Dead 1 did it as well, is that some games when you play them they keep they might give you a default easy setting or a normal difficulty. With Left 4 Dead, it's got an AI component called the director.
Yeah.
And how that works is that and I don't know how it works, is that it assesses how well you're playing, and if it determines that, hey, you're actually hanging around that area for too long and you're taking things too slowly, it'll actually send in another wave of these undead. And they won't just suddenly appear in front of you. They'll come screaming around a corner and they'll do whatever. So it actually adjusts the gameplay depending on how well or how badly you're doing. And I think that's really clever. I think that's, and it also changes where all your weapon pickups, you've got usual things like axes and Molotov cocktails and the chainsaws brilliant. Chainsaws and...
a lot of fun with the chainsaw.
Fantastic. You just grab the chainsaw and just do 360s. Brilliant. But
just chopping, slicing through anything that's nearby.
Limbs everywhere, limbs and blood and brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
But so it changes that. So, every time you play through it, your weapons aren't going to be in the same position, and your zombies aren't going to, or your undead aren't going to all be coming in the same position. So it does add a lot of variety to it, which is really, really well done.
Now, Gerard, I just get the feeling, though, and you're talking about this, that you seem a little bit jaded by it all. Did you get bored of killing zombies and the undead?
Yeah, I think you do. I mean, I think there are so much zombie killing or undead killing you can do. And, I think, as I said, with the first one, it was like, oh, what's that? Well, what's that? But now it's a case of, another undead, pull out the chainsaw, go through. And I think maybe the second one is maybe, for me, personally, lost that wow factor that the first one had. Yeah. I mean, I think that Left 4 Dead 2 is still brilliant as a, you can't beat it as a multiplayer with friends and that, but I think
what if you were killing Nazi zombies? Would that make a difference?
Nazi zombies, wow. Zombie's a zombie, though, isn't it?
Yes. At the end of the day, yeah. You can dress them up any way you like, I suppose.
You can. Yeah, there's only, I think there are only so many limbs you can chop off and so many pools of blood you can wade through before you sort of think, yeah, I might move on to something else. But I think, I think Left 4 Dead probably ideally is good as, bite-sized chunks. Maybe do it for an hour or a couple of hours with some mates, then go off and do something else, and maybe the next day come back and do something else. But I think it certainly will really, really work well as a co-op and a multiplayer game, definitely.
Okay, and it's across multi-platforms as well.
I think it is certainly 360, PS3, and Windows PC. I think.
Excellent.
Yeah, well, because certainly is Windows PC, because with Valve they'll be using the Steam service. So yeah, definitely is those three platforms. most
All
definitely.
right. Well, if people want to find out more, they can hit you up on Twitter, twitter.com/GameJunkieNZ. Of course, the blog at stuff.co.nz. You do the Game Junkie blog there, and there's all sorts of information about a whole bunch of other games as well, and you can join in the discussions. Thanks so much, Gerard. We'll talk to you next time.
Thank you.
Here's a track from Great North. This is called Black River.